God, I'm a mess when it comes to hosting. Okay. We have. Here we go.
I'm actually gonna restart the gameplay if I can. There we go.
Almost said delete forever. Get SharePoint.
Delete forever. I'll share it on my Twitter as well.
Okay. Boom, boom.
All right, there we go.
Good, good. Okay, so we are live, correct?
Yeah. We are
Beautiful.
live. We have one viewer.
Oh.
I think it's me.
Hey, it's all about the numbers. It's not about how we get there.
Well, I'd argue it's not
watching.
about the. Okay, just yeah.
in this situation, I'll say it's not about the numbers. Anyway,
start the podcast.
For the one viewer, aka Harley.
Hey.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Follow My Tracers. We are a gaming podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jim, aka Power Grudge. I'm also joined by Figure 9, aka Tony, and Harley. Gentlemen,
So,
another week, another episode.
That's right. Third week in a row. Pretty dope.
So, quick thank you to everybody that watched last week's episode when Tony gave his impressions on the Series X. If you want your responses read, and if you have an opinion on the topic of the show, remember to leave a comment on the video below, or even put it in the chat, and we can respond to it live and or next week if we don't get to it. So let's kick things off here, gentlemen. What have you two been playing this past week? Let's start with you, Harley.
I've just been playing Call of Duty Cold War. Lots of zombies, a little bit of multiplayer, and occasionally some Warzone.
Ooh, I haven't dipped into Warzone really. I think I played 2 games since Cold War came out, but nothing's integrated
It's different.
yet, right?
Feels the gameplay between the two feels so different.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Cold War just feels a bit smoother. With the FOV slider, it just feels so much faster.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about it, I think, in terms of the biggest difference between Cold War and Modern Warfare is the FOV, and I've discovered this with MCC on PC, it does wonders for a game, being able to extend your field of view. What about you, Tony? What have you been playing this week?
So I've been incredibly busy with work. I haven't really played anything. I played a little bit of games last night. So I played a bit of Gears Tactics because I'm still kind of going through that. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I guess the only other like gaming thing I've done is I ended up purchasing DBZ Kakarot, which came out in I think January or February this year. And I was kind of just waiting for it to go on sale, and it ended up getting down to like $30 Canadian. So I decided now is the time. So I ended up buying that and got that downloaded. So I'm excited to play that game. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and it's basically just playing through the story again, right? They've done it a million times, but it does look really, really good. So I'm excited to play that.
Very nice, very nice. As for myself, to make this very brief, it's pretty much just been Call of Duty. I've been playing a lot of zombies, trying to get good at playing zombies solo. Harley and I played a bit of zombies this week. Played a couple games, got to an okay round. I think we can get like a lot higher, maybe into the 20s or, maybe God forbid the 30s. But other than that, I'm kind of similar to you this week, Tony, where I purchased a new game today, and neither of you will probably guess it. So it's no secret to you guys and to anybody who's watched the last 2 episodes, I don't play my Switch that much, if at all. But I feel like I needed a new game to kick my interest back into the Switch, because I've been staring at the same stack of games for I don't know how long, and I feel like I needed a bridge to get back into it. So today I purchased Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity because I liked the first Hyrule Warriors game quite a bit, but I stopped playing it as other stuff came out. It's just, it's typical of me, really. But I feel like I needed a new game to get back into the Switch, and I am very excited to play the new Hyrule Warriors game, which came out today as of recording.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. And I guess I can use that as an excuse to say I can use it to start playing Breath of the Wild because it's like it leads into Breath of the Wild. It's not directly. I think it's like what 100 years or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of does though. If you play Breath of the Wild, you understand why it'll lean into it. But yeah, it's 100 years in the past, but it kind of connects to it because Breath of the Wild starts 100 years after that because Link wakes up and it's 100 years later. So, I mean, if you kind of think about it that way, like the gap's there, but I mean, it not really. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like I said, as soon as I've done that, maybe I'll go right into Breath of the Wild. There's a good chance because sometimes I find myself getting into kind of like a role. So like when I was doing these earlier this year, I had the desire to start beating the Assassin's Creed games. So I started with 2. I'd beaten 1 enough times, so I started with 2, and I rolled all the way through to 3 in like a really short amount of time. But I kept just doing one after the other.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna try and do that with Zelda because Breath of the Wild's gonna take me forever to finish, and Hyrule Warriors. I don't know how long the new Hyrule Warriors game is, but it's got to be a decent amount anyway. At least I'll say at least 10 hours. Let's say. So.
Well, the thing with Breath of the Wild is like it can take a while, but it could also not take very long. It depends on how much you want to do. You could kind of just go and do the main quests and be done. I don't want to estimate how long it would take, but maybe 20 to 30 hours. I don't know. But if you want to do,
it took you?
Well, I did more than that, so I don't really know.
True.
But
True.
if you want to do more than that, obviously there's a ton of content in there. But it's not like Breath of the Wild has to be a 100-hour game. It could be a 20 or maybe even a 15-hour game. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I do encourage you to. It's really good. I hope you like it, and I hope you actually play a lot more than just the main stuff because man, that game's awesome.
I feel like it's a game where I'd want to explore a lot of it. So, well, I mean, because when I played it, I think I played about 10 hours before I initially put it down. I'd say about half the stuff I did was either just wandering and just finding stuff or talking to somebody and then end up doing something totally different, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I do want to sink a lot of time into it, and I really think that playing Hyrule Warriors going into it, maybe like I said, it'll kind of kickstart me getting more into the Switch because primarily Renee plays it for like Animal Crossing or Pokemon right now. She started playing the DLC and she likes it.
Nice.
Good news. So whenever I can get time in, I will. So there you go.
Sweet, man.
So do you guys have any news stories or current events that you want to talk about before we get into the big democracy here today? We'll start with you, Tony.
Yeah, so I got one piece of news, and we'll just dub this the official Halo Infinite talk section of the episode since we talk about Halo Infinite every episode. There's there was some Halo Infinite news this week, albeit very very minor and more of a non-update if you know what I mean. But on 343's blog post, and I'll pull this up and I'll read it verbatim. In the very top of it, they said, in years that had so many ups and downs, it's been nice to have some good news coming our way thanks to the hard work of various teams. Here at the studio, Halo 4 has arrived on PC, MCC has implemented crossplay, esports tournaments have entered their second season, and here's the important part, and we're closing in on a high-level update on Halo Infinite. So, you got to be very specific with the wording here and really key into that, right? So, high level update. What does that mean? So high level update means it's probably not a trailer. It's nothing nitty gritty. It's not going to just be a bunch of armor coatings like that's been the news, right? It's going to be, I think it's going to be a date or a window, to be honest. And possibly like maybe they'll reveal the next time that we'll see a trailer, or maybe they'll reveal a multiplayer beta date. It'll be something, big enough that it's a high level update, but I don't think we're going to see anything new. And they kind of, when you kind of scroll down on the blog post, they do talk about it a little bit more on Halo Infinite. I'll read this quote too. They said, over the past few months, and because of the delay, You've learned a
Oh,
lot
great.
about Halo Infinite from our various retail and partner programs. We see that you, our community, have so many questions and are hungry for more information. We know, we hear you, we understand. We want nothing more than to answer your questions. We can't wait to go into deep detail about the rich story and characters in the Halo Infinite campaign, to dive into exactly how customization and progression works, and shows it visually and the multiplayer experience, and provide a detailed look at the incredible depth of content across the entire game. But to do that right and to do the game and the talented team crafting it justice, we need to show rather than tell. That's important. I like that line. Of course, this begs the question, when are you going to show all that? The best we can say right now is when it's ready. And that's not the same as when it's done, but it's still not yet. When we get close, we'll be sure to let you know ahead of time. So combine that with the kind of high level update that they said before. I think what they're going to say in this high level update before the end of the year, because it's going to be before the end of the year, they've said. They didn't say in this blog post before the end of the year, but the community manager on Twitter did say before the end of the year. John Unishek, I think that's how you say his last name. So I think in this high level update, they're going to say, here's a date, or here's a window. You know, maybe it'll be spring, summer, fall, winter, 2022, God forbid. They'll actually like give us a window, or maybe they'll give us an actual date. Maybe it's way closer than we think. And then they'll say, and good news, you can see the next trailer, you know, in March, or you can see, you know, a first look at multiplayer, you know, next month, or, you know, great news, there's a multiplayer beta starting in February for Halo Insiders, or something like that. You know what I mean? So this is it's a non-update, but it's also a good thing that they're saying, hey, there's so much hype around this game, right? And we're going to actually get to that later in the episode in the Game Awards too. But there's so much hype and so much talk about this game, and most of it's been pretty negative recently. So they're trying to get out in front of it and saying, hey, we're going to have something to say pretty soon. And then we'll tell you more. It's not going to be a trailer, but I mean, hey man, Halo Infinite. I'm excited. So,
Man,
yeah.
like any news is good news with Halo at this point, even if it's just them saying, look out for, you know, this announcement coming soon. It's just nice to have any sort of like momentum forward with it, even if it's not very much. It's just enough. Like, give me enough, you know.
Well, the high level
News
update
from
thing,
the source is good.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's been a lot of rumors and a lot of BS, and then people leaving, and it's you know, it's just kind of been a weird news cycle, and then the whole microtransactions and armor coatings thing. So it's nice that we're gonna get something high level. So they're not gonna put out a trailer about armor coatings before the end of the year. They're gonna say something, and it's gonna be meaningful. It's gonna be high level. So I think that means date to me, or at least a window. So that is the Halo Infinite news update of the week. that's my news story, man.
Infinite Watch, or whatever we called it earlier.
Oh, you know what? And I'll say this really quick too. So we were talking kind of after last episode, and I put on my tinfoil hat and I said I think that Xbox is gonna show some more Halo Infinite stuff at the Game Awards, because they've traditionally shown, and they have a history and kind of a knack of showing stuff at the Game Awards, specifically last year with actually revealing the Xbox Series X there. So I'm like, oh, this makes sense. They'll reveal something at the Game Awards. The community manager again came out and said, no, we're not going to be at the Game Awards. So no, that's not when this announcement will be, but they did say before the end of the year. So whether that's next week or, you know, the last week of December, somewhere in the next 6 weeks, we're gonna get some news. So yeah.
Beautiful. Before we get to Harley, do you have any news stories or no?
I don't have anything. I just want to say though, Supperfish in the chat.
Ah, Supperfish.
I was just about to say, turn your
Jeez.
attention to the chat. What's he saying,
They
Harley?
replaced Chief with Craig.
I love that.
Imagine
I love that they're actually
playing a
keeping Craig
brute.
in the game, man. Oh, so
Imagine
good.
playing as a brute, fighting Chief, or like other Spartans. It
That'd be-
almost become like a horror game.
That'd be kind of fun.
Running away from Spartans.
Oh man.
Some.
It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, where like there's a brute at a computer
Oh.
chair, and there's just like wandering Spartans looking for him. And it's just
Wandering
Craig.
Chief.
Just like Five Nights on Halo Infinite, on Zeta Halo. That would be good. That's all I have though.
Supperfish in the chat. Once again, maybe a future special guest. Who knows? Hopefully frequent. Anyway, we're going to get to my one news story. I don't want to talk too much about it. I do want to get to the voting, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about with the categories in the Game Awards, I feel. Specifically, a couple I think we might bump heads a bit. But specifically, let's talk about Project 007. So yesterday, as of recording this, Hitman developer IO Interactive announced that they are developing a Bond game, and it's going to focus on his origin story. So I don't think it's going to be. I think the gaming universe and the film universe are two different canons. So I'm not even going to bother trying to talk about that. But I'm going to quote them. They said Project 007 will feature, quote, a wholly original Bond story exclusively as a video game, which answers what I just said anyway, in which players must earn their 00 status. That's pretty cool. And it's pretty cool that they're developing it too. I'm not the biggest connoisseur of Hitman games, but I think if they were to make a Bond game in that gameplay style, because they had Bond games that were third person, like Everything or Nothing, which is a great game. It still holds up to this day, to be honest. Pierce Brosnan was still Bond. Willem Dafoe was the villain, but it had similar gameplay, not in like the open worldness of Hitman, but similar gameplay, like camera perspective. The gunplay felt similar, if you ask me, from the little I've played of Hitman games. And I'm probably totally wrong. Correct me, I know I'm wrong, but I think Bond could really benefit because we haven't had a really new Bond game, or at least a new property of Bond. Because the last Bond game I can think of that came out was 007 Legends, and it was based on moments from 5 of the movies.
Oh man, I
So the
forgot
last,
that even
like,
existed.
I know, like I really wanted to play it when it came out, and then I saw the reviews, and I was like, eh. But I hear it's not that bad of a game. But
What
regardless,
system is it on?
it's like on last gen. It would be like
Oh.
360, PS3,
That's 2 gens
maybe
ago now.
PC. Yeah, oh my god, 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
Well, last gen for me. But the last like original 007 property we had was Bloodstone, and that came out, oh my god, a decade ago.
Yeah, that would have been
Correct me if I'm
2009 or
wrong, but
2010. It would have been a while ago. I remember that
another
one.
game I really wanted to play. So that game was kind of the same third person perspective in it too. So now that, you know, a really talented studio is developing a Bond game with the Bond license, I think this could go no other way but positively, to be honest. Like, have they made a, does anybody know off by hand, have they made like a really bad game before? Or have they, this is like, is this their first big like licensed property they've developed?
I don't know that. I know that they have made like mediocre games in the past, but the Hitman series is amazing.
It's a big one.
It's a big one, right? And it's highly, you know, acclaimed and regarded, and it does very well. And it's funny that you bring this up because when that announcement kind of came out, I was kind of just scrolling through Twitter, and a lot of people in the gaming industry and just like influencers and stuff were just saying like this is like the game that they never knew they wanted, but now that they know it exists, they're like, wow, that makes so much sense. Like it's the perfect developer for it. Like Hitman and 007 are like just like thinking about the gameplay marriages and like all the similarities makes a ton of sense. So I think it's great. Again, we haven't seen anything yet, so we can't, you know, there's still a chance that the game could be bad. There's always a chance a game could be bad, right? It doesn't matter who's making it. It could be the best developer in the world and they can still screw up. So we'll see what happens, but I mean, it's a very good combination. That's a talented studio, and they've made games that are kind of along the same vein as 007. So I'm excited to see it. They didn't mention that we're going to see it, did they?
If maybe next year we'll get something like early, or maybe the Game Awards. Who knows, right? Like we just
Oh,
got
yeah,
like
yeah.
like the concept teaser yesterday, but
Game
that
Awards
doesn't
is a
mean
good
they
one.
can't make a big announcement in like less than a month.
Yeah,
right?
Game Awards is actually a great spot for that, in my opinion. So we'll, yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, I think that's a good time to move on to the chunk of the episode here. So the fan voting for the 2020 Game Awards came out this week on the 18th as of recording. So we thought it was a good idea, now that you know you can fan vote, to go through each category, and we have to come to a mutual agreement. We have to agree on the same thing, and we are going to cast our votes live on the show here.
2 out of 3 of us do.
Well, okay,
Democracy.
sure. What do you call it? Like a majority decision.
This is a democracy. Okay, for everyone watching right now, I'm stopping the game and I'm starting. I'm gonna share my screen and we can kind of like scroll through everything together so you guys can see as we talk. So we're gonna turn that off. Get on my privacy square. And there we go. Cool.
Your changing table or whatever.
All right, we're up. We're good to go.
Beautiful. So should we start with the big one right away, game of the year? Or should we save that one for last?
Um,
Hmm.
that's a good question.
I think we'll have more discussions with a topic
I-
that's kind of close to the end, to be honest.
That's
But
true.
Okay, let's
Does
do it
that work
first.
with
Screw it. Let's
scrolling?
do it first.
let's start with game of the year.
Yeah. Most
So,
other
the nom-
podcasts would put it at the end to bait you into watching the whole thing, but we know you guys are gonna watch the whole thing anyways, because
Plus,
you
we
know,
or want
we
you to
love
stop
us.
watching early. You kind of see a train wreck when it happens. You might as well get off the train early, right?
Could you imagine if we made a podcast the sole purpose of getting people to stop watching exactly 20 minutes in, like right now? That'd be great.
Can't be that hard.
All right.
When we have Supperfish in the chat next week, that might tank real quick. You never know.
Yeah, that'll be a
Okay.
train wreck.
It's Sorry, Kevin.
I'm just kidding.
So let's when we know when you're ready, Tony.
Yeah, I'll scroll down right here. There we go.
Okay. So the 2020 Game Awards Game of the Year nominees are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
Tsushima.
Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Last of Us Part 2. What are you guys thinking here? How many of these games have you played?
I have played none.
Really?
Yep.
So
I've
played...
heard-
Sorry, go ahead.
I've
Harley.
heard such good things of Ghost of Tsushima. I've heard such good things about it. Here it's like really good game. They're still updating it, I think.
The cool thing about that game is that it's a new IP. So the only other game on this list that's also a new IP is Hades. Everything else is a sequel or a spin-off or whatever you want to call it, or even a remake, right? So I think that's really cool. I've also heard really good things about Ghost of Tsushima. I will say it's interesting that and good for Sony here. They have 2 games in the Game of the Year discussion, which is, I think a testament and something that we already all know, but they make awesome games. So Ghost of Tsushima especially is one I really want to play, and it sucks that I don't have a PlayStation to do that on.
No. Looks like a Assassin's Creed game in like feudal Japan era.
Yeah.
Looks really cool.
And funny enough, people have been like clamoring for an Assassin's Creed game set in like that exact era for this exact reason, because it's so cool, and they beat him to the punch, the Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
That's the name of the studio.
I mean,
Sorry,
I've played Doom Eternal through Renee, who in the chat even says, I don't even know if I would vote for Animal Crossing. I'll say it's like secondhand smoke. I've experienced enough Animal Crossing just to see what it's all about. And from what I've seen of all these games that I haven't played, I think it might surprise you too. But the one game that I think I would want to play the most, honest and truthfully, just based on the gameplay I've seen and the type of game it is probably Last of Us Part 2. But
Oh, really?
I have to go with my gut here. I'm going to say Doom Eternal only because the 2016 Doom game may have been my game of the year that year if we had this show 4 years ago. And all the improvements they've done for Doom Eternal, including even the soundtrack, which somehow Mick Gordon outdid himself and made like the music more adaptive and somehow heavier, if you ask me. Now the sound mixing with the soundtrack, that's that I don't know if that's like an MP3 file issue with like the actual release of the soundtrack, but the music sounds just fine in the game. And I think just gameplay wise, it's almost like the jump between the original Doom and Doom 2, if you ask me. So if we're gonna call a vote here, my vote's gonna go for Doom Eternal just based on that.
Harley, what do you think?
My vote would go for Ghost.
Ghost of
Ghost
Tsushima?
of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Just the story looks so like deep. The sound, the soundtrack, the gameplay, like everything looks good.
The cool thing about that game is there's even like I forget what they call it, but it basically goes into black and white like those old samurai movies.
Oh yeah.
And it looks super stylized and cool. This is tough for me. I haven't played Doom Eternal yet. I do have it though, thanks to Jim, and I do have Animal Crossing, and I played probably about 40 hours of Animal Crossing, and then I kind of fell off the wagon. Last of Us Part 2 never really interested me. I didn't beat the first Last of Us. I did have it. I know that game. I know I'd probably love that game if I actually just went all the way through it. But I mean, I also stopped playing it, so maybe that says something about just like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't like the second one if I didn't really get hooked on the first one.
I saw some videos about that game, and the story, like I'm completely spoiled on the story. It's kind of are some, in my opinion, some weird choices they made.
There was a lot of controversy about that. I remember when before even the game came out, because there was all the leaks. Everyone was
Oh yeah,
kind
it
of
got review bombed hard too when it came out.
well, yeah, like user review bombed. I think all the
Yeah.
outlets gave it really high scores because
Yep.
I mean, it does look like a really like if you've seen kind of the game in action, it looks gorgeous. It's a really
good.
it looks like a really high quality game. Yeah, so I wouldn't vote for Last of Us. I agree with Renee. I probably wouldn't vote for Animal Crossing as much as that game is just such a social phenomenon and probably came out during the. I don't ever associate COVID with perfect timing, but I mean, perfect timing. Like that game kind of just hooked everybody. But I also wouldn't say it's game of the year material. Hades is something I really really want to try. That game looks super cool. But again, I can't really vote for it. I haven't seen enough of it, and I haven't really played it, but I think I would really like that game. Final Fantasy VII Remake seems really cool, but it's also only half a game, so I'm not gonna vote for that
Oh yeah.
on that reason alone. I think I might have actually voted for it if it was the whole thing. The fact that they're splitting it up into parts, and I understand that maybe it's not ready yet, and I get that. But you better believe they're gonna charge you another full price game just to get the second half of that game. So I'm not cool with that. I'm going to vote with Harley here. I'm going to say Ghost of Tsushima would be my game of the year, just based on what I've seen alone. I think it's great that it's a new IP. It's something brand new. It's something the studio hasn't really done before.
It's bold.
It's bold, and it worked, and it turned out very well. So I guess with that, 2 out of 3 goes to Ghost of Tsushima. I will say though, like not a knock against Doom Eternal. I haven't played it yet, and admittedly, like that game also got super high scores and looks awesome, and I can't wait to play it.
So the official vote for Follow My Tracers is Ghost of Tsushima for Game of the Year.
I'm gonna click it and see what happens. Voted. There you go. Boom.
Alrighty.
Let's scroll down.
The next category is Best Game Direction. So we have Final Fantasy Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and Last of Us Part 2. Initial thoughts, gentlemen?
So I'm gonna read the what game direction means for people out there who might not know. It's awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I think the key word there is innovation. And if you think about all these games, what actually innovates? Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't really innovate, in my opinion, not as much as these other ones. Ghost of Tsushima is a brand new game, so it has some innovation in there, admittedly, but it also plays pretty similarly to Assassin's Creed in some ways. Half-Life Alyx is absolutely innovative. That game is built from the ground up for VR, and it does its completely own thing, so I think that deserves to be there. Last of Us Part 2, again, I haven't played. I think that's more about the game direction and design and just how they kind of made the game. I don't know if that makes any sense. I might not make any sense there. And then Hades, of course, is.
I think I get what you're saying.
And Hades is like a dungeon crawler that's also an RPG, and you kind of like go through, and every playthrough is different. And you're kind of like trying to do like a run to get through to the end. Bunnytail in chat says Hades is a small game though, pretty impressive to be on there. Oh, and that's from Blue. Yeah. So, very impressive that Hades is even on the Game of the Year discussion and on a lot of these discussions. I don't know if you guys saw reviews for Hades, but they're practically all 10s. Like everyone's just absolutely in love with it. I think for this one though, I'm gonna have to say Half-Life Alyx. That's my vote.
Harley, what do you think?
I was gonna go with either Ghost again or Hades.
Sure, do what
I
you
don't
want to do,
really
man.
know much about Half-Life Alex. I assume it plays much like the other Half-Lives, just in VR.
Kind of, sort of. Um, it's completely innovative in the VR space. It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah.
Could you how
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of VR games that are pretty innovative, like how you have like complete control and everything. I haven't seen Half-Life, and I don't know what that is
yeah,
like.
that's fair. If you haven't seen it, I mean, how do you vote for it, right? So I get that.
Exactly. Jim?
I think pretty well based on everything Tony said, I would say probably Half-Life Alex as well. Again, I don't own a VR thing, but kind of what Bunnytail's saying in the chat, Alex will move VR games forward, or what Blue was saying through Bunny. But based on everything I've seen of Half-Life Alex, it's probably like the most impressive VR game I've seen so far. And if it wasn't for uh, another category coming up is best VR game, and I'll mention it more there, but it kind of makes me want to try, even though I'm not like the biggest Half-Life fan, it kind of makes me want to try it on VR just to specifically see what VR can be capable of. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So I think just based on the concept of seeing how impressive VR can be, even Half-Life aside, I'm gonna put my vote in for Half-Life Alex.
Okay. I'll say this with Half-Life 2 before we get off the topic, and I know one of the next categories is best VR game. It's not only the fact that it's VR and that's why we're voting for it. I don't think it's the fact that it's such a big and innovative game, and it also is VR, and the VR isn't a gimmick. Like the VR is it's part of the game, but it's not like, oh look, I can move around and I can wave my hands around. Like it's way different than that. So it's really hard to describe unless you actually see the game. Of course, I haven't played it. You need like a big VR rig to play it, and I certainly don't have that. But I think that game is going to get not as many awards as it should in this Game Awards, just from like the actual like the voting from the panel. But I think that I think we should vote for it. So if two of us are going to do it, then that's the vote, right?
I believe so.
Vote. There we go. Scroll down.
So the next category is Best Narrative for Outstanding Storytelling and Narrative Development in a Game. The nominees are 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2.
A lot of
All
repeaters.
games
A
I have
lot of
never
repeaters.
played.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a
We'll
lot of
see.
Ghost on here.
I'm gonna see Ghost and Hades and Last of Us a lot.
Yeah.
I looked at some of the categories. It's almost in all of them.
Any initial thoughts? Anybody know a lot about the stories of these games?
This one's tough
I would-
because like we
I
haven't
would
played
also
them.
go with Ghost.
You're gonna go with Ghost, Harley? Yeah.
I kind of know the base story of it.
Sure.
It sounds really cool.
Is that
Kinda
your
like-
vote, too, Tony?
Yeah.
What kind of bugs me about
I don't
Final
know.
Fantasy VII Remake being on here is that the game, it's a remake. And it's not to take anything away from it, but the story's been told. So that one kind of like bugs me that it's on here. I understand that it's also like it's not a complete just like they're retelling it. There's new parts to it and more things are fleshed out and all of that, but it bugs me that Final Fantasy VII Remake's on here still. Either way, I think that from a narrative standpoint,
Do any of you know the kind of like the background story of Ghost?
I know that
Did you see
he's
that?
trying to like he's trying to like reclaim like glory to his family as cheesy as that sounds, and like reclaim the lands that are being overtaken.
I thought he was like a general in the army, got betrayed,
Oh,
thought to be dead, and he's kind of using this ghost kind of persona to instill fear in the enemy.
oh, cool.
I think you're also right in that he's trying to reclaim like land from his, I don't know. It sounded like really cool. I just don't remember much of it.
Well, if Harley's votes for Ghosts, I'm gonna put my vote on Ghosts as well. Jim, what do you think?
And surprisingly, I was gonna initially kind of lean more towards Last of Us, but I think just based on, it's a new IP. From what I've read about the story, like the little I've read about the game in general, and just everything I've heard about it, it just sounds so interesting and so cool. So I think my vote would be for Ghost as well.
I'll say this: out of all these games on this list right here, the one I'm most interested in the story is definitely Ghosts. So,
Yep.
I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So,
So
Ghosts.
the official vote is Ghost of Tsushima. Before we move on to the next category, though, Bunny Tail Games, through I guess Blue, has a point. Kind of weird that a remake is up for any awards. It had its chance when it was first released. Did Final Fantasy VII win any Game of the Year awards? I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, big time.
It should have, right?
Big time. It did for sure. I couldn't name them off the off the top of my head, but that game is considered one of the greatest games ever made. It definitely won a bunch of awards. I agree, Bunny. I would say that this game has more going for it than just being like an up-res, though. It's complete ground-up remake, so that for me that that allows it to be on this list. But it is an interesting discussion to have. Like, would you put MCC on, any of? Well, I guess you could put it in one of these categories, but would you put like a up-res Halo 3 back in the best shooter category? It's like, well, of course it's high quality. You can't doubt that, but it already came out. Like it's kind of different. But I think that the Final Fantasy VII remake, it's more than just like, hey, it's the same game, but everything looks pretty now. It's actually like, it's like a full, like, I know I said it's a retelling, but it's like a retelling of the story, but with added perspectives and added storylines and more in depth everything, really. So I think that's why it's on here. I don't think it should be on some of these categories, but yeah.
But this next one could be a viable fit, if you will. So the next category is Best Art Direction for outstanding creative and/or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. The nominees are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2.
It sucks that only 5 games can be nominated for each category. A lot of people were saying that Ori and the Will of the Wisps should have been nominated for Game of the Year. I haven't played it yet. I could certainly say, based off of Ori 1, that game is incredible and super underrated and super stylistic and beautiful and deserves everything it could ever get. And Will of the Wisps just seems to be more of the same, but like better. So super bummed out that it didn't get a Game of the Year nomination. But I think the art direction one's interesting, right? Because it's not about just like pushing pixels, right? It's about how a game kind of looks and feels in the world. So I think Ghosts is really strong here as well, to be honest, man. That game has a really cool art style, and it's hard to vote against it. But
yeah, it's also about technical achievement too.
Yeah, you're right. But it's a combination, right? It's not just like yeah. So
I'd go with either Ghost or Ori and the Will of the Wisp.
Ori, certainly, just having played it a lot and seen Will of the Wisps too, like the original Ori ways, having played the original Ori, like that game is, oh man, it's like, it's one of those games that's gonna look good 50 years from now. You know what I mean? Because it's so stylized and so beautiful. It's like to a lesser degree Super Mario 64, but it's the reason why people still play those games. It's because they're not trying to push pixels, even though they are pushing pixels. It's the way they make them, right? Like I could see a game like The Last of Us Part 2 in like 20 years. We could look back on that and be like, oh, like even though that game looks really really good to us right now. And same with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it's hard to kind of think of games like that, but I think for that reason, Ori and Hades, and even Ghost to a degree, have a leg up, just because I think I think it's a bigger achievement to create a game that'll stand the test of time rather than a game that just looks good right now. So, my vote's for Ori.
How do you know your final vote yet, or no? I know mine, just based off of.
You go ahead, Jim.
I'm gonna go vote for Ori and Will of the Wisp specifically for what Tony was saying about the longevity of it, and like 50 years from now, people are gonna look at that game and think it still looks gorgeous. It's the reason why, and to kind of flip it a bit here, like cell shaded games still kind of look pretty good today. Like if you look at Wind Waker, I think the original Wind Waker art style wise has kind of preserved that game
Yeah.
and gives it such a unique look where I can't look at it and go, oh my God, it came out in the early 2000s, it's aged. I look at it and I go, this is really pretty.
And I think that's a good comparison with Zelda, man, because like you look at a game like Twilight Princess, for example, and that game kind of just looks a bit muddy nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Whereas Wind Waker absolutely does not look that way. Just the art style, and I would say Breath of the Wild kind of achieves that too, where it's not about graphical prowess, it's about an art style. So
beautiful. So let's make the vote official then.
Ori.
Ori it is. Boom.
Our vote is Ori. So next category is best score and music for outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. Nominees are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2.
Jim,
I know my vote right away.
Jim,
so.
you're the music guy here. Obviously, Doom Eternal and even the Doom 2016 music is incredible. Oh my god,
yeah.
It's so good, man. But I think that Ori deserves a nod here too. I'm not sure if you guys have ever listened to the Ori soundtrack, but it's beautiful. It's really really good. It's like orchestra kind of symphony kind of stuff. It's way different than Doom Eternal, which is just metal. But I'm gonna vote for Doom. But Ori's soundtrack. I was gonna
vote for Doom as well.
Yeah. So I think Doom's our vote. I think Jim, your vote's obviously Doom, right?
Yeah. So my vote, but I vote on it not necessarily the quality of the music, but what Mick Gordon did to make the music. I kind of go back to Doom 2016 when they released a YouTube video, kind of demonstrating how Mick Gordon composed and produced the soundtrack. The thing, and I knew my mind was blown right away because my jaw hit my desk. But he was talking about creating, I think it was, I don't know if it was in the song BFG division, but there's a song in Doom 2016 where he took a chainsaw, mic'd it, if I'm remembering this correctly. But anyway, so he put a chainsaw through a synthesizer essentially, and there's a chainsaw that's the main instrument of like a soundtrack, or a track on a soundtrack. And when you listen to the game, you might not know it's a chainsaw right away, but every time you listen back and know it's a chainsaw, I get chills every time I hear just the sound of it. So
is that BFG division?
It might be. I'd have to look at. I have it on CD. I'd have to listen to it again. But
I have that game. I have a lot of Doom songs on my Jim playlist, man. It's so good.
So I mean,
not Jim as in Jimmy, but Jim as in exercise, I should say.
That's something I need to do. But regardless, my vote is Doom Eternal as well, and I think that's unanimous between the three of us.
Yeah. Though seriously though, everyone go check out Ori though as well. Like if you're a fan of like kind of like nice soundtrack music, like even like just Halo kind of like orchestra kind of music, if you like the Halo soundtracks, I think you'll like Ori as well. It's really really good. But our vote.
So if I wasn't going to vote for Doom, I would have voted for Ori because I've heard some of the soundtrack for both Will of the Wisps and what was the first one called again?
Just Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah.
Blind Forest, that's what it was. They're fantastic. Like you can't get much better for that kind of game.
Also, side note, sorry, more Halo Infinite talk. The composer for Ori is doing some songs for Halo Infinite. So,
oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's again. Okay, that's enough Halo Infinite. Sorry. Audio design, more music.
So the next category is best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. I know the one nominee surprised me too. So the nominees are Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and Last of Us Part 2.
That's really interesting.
Surprised to see I am surprised, but I'm also not surprised to see Resident Evil 3 on here.
Resident Evil 2 won a bunch of awards, the remake.
And it deserved it. I recommend that game wholeheartedly to anybody. Even if you don't like survival horror, it'll make you like survival horror. If you ask me, anyway. Any initial thoughts on this one, gentlemen?
I almost want to say it's a bit more tough. I'd want to go between Resident Evil 3, Doom Eternal, maybe Ghost as like my third. I'm kind of leaning towards Resident Evil 3 or Doom.
Okay. Well, we can come back to you. Jim, what do you think?
So, kind of what I was saying about how cool the music was produced for Doom 2016, the in-game sounds on Doom Eternal are awesome. All the guns are super punchy. All the demons sound so awesome, and just the atmospheric sounds. And the important thing about the adaptive music is the way the music plays as you play the game, depending on what weapon you use, situation you're in. It's so cool and innovative, and I don't think any other game does it quite like that. And I can't even think of a game that does it, to the same level that even like Doom 2016 did, let's say. But I've played a lot of Resident Evil 3, probably about 4 hours, let's say, and that game's got incredible sound design too. So, based on atmosphere, based on just the horror element of it. But I think I'm going to lean more towards Doom Eternal for a lot of the same reasons I voted for best soundtrack.
Yeah, I agree. I'm voting Doom.
Doom.
So that's official. Our vote is Doom Eternal. Beautiful.
Best performance.
So the next category is Best Performance, awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and/or performance capture. So the nominees are Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby, both from Last of Us Part 2. I can't even pronounce that name, but the character from Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades, and Najee Jeter, I think it's like Najee Jeter, if you will, as Miles Morales in Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Any initial thoughts, gentlemen?
It's cool to see another new game in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That game looks awesome. I wish I could play it.
The first one is awesome on PS4. When I had my PS4, that was, other than Shadow of the Colossus, that was probably my favorite game I had.
So this one's interesting because, again, having not played any of these games, it's hard to like say what's the best performance. So, I guess what I'll say is I have seen some limited stuff in Spider-Man, and that was fantastic from what I've seen. But again, I haven't played much. I actually don't feel comfortable voting on this one. But if you guys want to vote for one, then go ahead. You guys can go.
I know the two voice actors from Last of Us, Laura Bailey and Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, they've been in a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, Laura Bailey's in Halo 5.
You're right, she is.
Yeah, it's hard though. I don't know anything about. I haven't seen any gameplay from Spider-Man Hades. Don't know enough about the character from Ghost. I do know the story from Last of Us 2. It's hard to pick between the two of them.
I feel like the most realistic winner for this is probably one of the Last of Us Part 2 people.
Yeah.
I will say, everything I've seen from Last of Us Part 2, I would lean towards those two. But I think, to be fair, I think I'm going to skip voting for this one because I haven't, seen enough of these in full, or more importantly, I haven't really experienced playing these games and playing in or around these characters to really concretely say anything. So I'm in my stance. I'm going to say maybe we shouldn't vote, just to be fair, because I think they all probably deserve it, to be honest, but I don't know who would deserve it more than the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so we skip.
Yeah.
We
respectfully skip this one because we don't want to. Yeah, we just don't know enough. So. Next.
And I think the next category we might be in the same boat.
Yeah.
So the next one, should I even read this or should we skip it?
So I think we're gonna skip this. I know a little bit about Tell Me Why, but again, not knowing anything about these games, and especially with like the importance of like these, like a lot of the other categories where it's like best visuals and best music, like you can get a lot of that just by watching and kind of looking at the game, but like games for impact and performance, like, you got to play the game, so, and having not played any of these, I also vote to skip this category.
Yeah.
I
You
vote
kind of
skip.
need to know they're usually on like important social issues,
Yeah.
not like we only know, well, I know only know Tell Me Why because of you. Don't know the other ones, so it's kind of a hard one to pick.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
vote to skip.
So it's officially skip. Not because we don't think it's important in any of these games. We just don't really know. I don't know any of them. I've never seen gameplay for any of them. So I think this next category could take us a while to get through. So the next one is best ongoing, awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. The nominees are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky.
Ooh.
This one's a bit of a toughie.
I think it's a big snub that
Maybe
MCC isn't on here, personally.
we start eliminating, then we start eliminating the ones we probably don't think we're gonna vote for, and then end with the discussion of what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
What we're gonna vote for.
I agree.
So I'd probably first eliminate, unfortunately, No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Best ongoing. I don't know. Compared to these other games that are like, they're pushing out like lots of content. I don't know how much No Man's Sky, kind of compares.
Yep. I think we can agree that No Man's Sky is not the winner. Nothing against it, but not compared to these games.
Yeah, against it, just
Yep.
in comparison.
Is there anyone else you want to eliminate? I can think of one I could eliminate,
think?
not because it's bad, but just
No,
because
We're not
we
saying
don't play
any are bad. It's
Yeah.
just
we just don't. I don't think we've played enough Apex. I only really played Apex when it first started, and I think they're in like season 5 or maybe even 6 by now. So I don't know how big the game's evolved or
It might be
what the
7.
content's like. So okay, well 7 then.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that the 3 we could talk the most about is probably Destiny 2, and then especially Warzone and especially Fortnite.
yeah, I would say personally, I think it's between Warzone or Fortnite. I mean, Destiny 2 has also been a while, like been here for a while. I don't think we've played much of Destiny 2 to really see what there is all to like see.
And I
Warzone and Fortnite, though, it's like our weekend,
Yeah, pretty
is.
well.
or
And
every weekend.
I think it's important to note that we're not saying that the ones that we're picking should be the
no.
winners. We're saying these are our winners, right? So these are the ones we
These
would
are,
pick.
yeah, these are our picks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're not saying
Our
no,
opinion.
everything else is shit and you should play Fortnite or something if we end up picking that. Like, it's definitely not. We're just saying personally this is what we would pick. So I agree, Harley. I think it's between COD and Fortnite.
Oof.
I kind of, it's weird to say this, but I kind of think I know which way I'm leaning right away.
Okay, go for it. What are you thinking?
I think I lean towards Fortnite right now. So I look at how like let's look at the start of the year. When did Warzone come out?
March.
Okay, so let's go from March on. I look at let's look at this. Let's look at the top again. So outstanding or achieve development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience. Now I can think more towards Fortnite in terms of map changes, item changes, weapon changes, theme changes. Like we went from Spies to Marvel, or sorry, Spies to Summer to Marvel. Whereas I look at Call of Duty, and I'm just basing on the map, let's say, in the theme. And Call of Duty's kind of been like, there's been additions, don't get me wrong, but Call of Duty's kind of been the same type of thing for quite a while.
It's been the same experience. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Fortnite, I feel like every time the season changes, like I look at the summer season that we had going to the Marvel one, it's almost like two totally different things, like two totally different feelings. And I get two different reactions to it. With the summer one, it was fine, don't get me wrong. But as soon as the Marvel stuff started coming out, I got like immediately more interested. And I think I've bought a lot, unashamedly, I've bought much more in the shop this season than I did the summer season, let's say, and even the spy season, just based on that. With COD, I don't ever really feel the urge to buy COD points, and I only ever really did for maybe a couple things, like the Halloween stuff I did for sure, and the Battle Pass, or whatever it's called in COD. I think it's Battle Pass, but I feel the urge more strongly to keep exploring Fortnite's Battle Pass and where Fortnite ends up going, just because COD, again, it's been kind of the same thing since it came out. Like, there have been additions to the map, but never like a big map change. Whereas Fortnite, when their map changes, they usually have significant enough changes. It's still the same base map since Chapter 2 started, but with the Marvel stuff, there's been new locations added, and when the summer stuff happened, the map flooded and there were new locations. Whereas with COD, it's just been the same.
I think the
And I'm more
definition of
interested in the
this,
cosmetics.
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The definition of this is that it evolves the player's experience over time. Call of Duty has been the same experience. It's added stuff for sure, but it's the exact same thing we were doing back in March. Just with a couple added things. Fortnite it's different, man. Like, of course, it's still battle royale, but like when you think about the map changes, the weapon changes, the in-game events like the Travis Scott concert and the whole thing at the agency, like Fortnite's continuously, like every single month, it feels like something's happening in Fortnite. Whereas Call of Duty, it feels like, they added a new gun. Like that's kind of the extent of it. So, the biggest change COD made was opening up the stadium, which was cool. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's been roughly the same experience. So I think I'm with you, Jim. I think I'm leaning Fortnite. What do you think, Harley?
Well, I agree. I like the experience of Warzone, I think, better than Fortnite.
Sure.
It's just got more of a competitive. Yeah, you're right. It is ongoing. I think I kind of lean towards Fortnite in that sense. There is like hit or miss seasons. They do add like different things. Like this season has added like superpowers and like they've added superheroes into the map. You can fight and gain powers and such.
Yeah, they added like
And
PvE
then
to the map. Like
Yeah.
COD doesn't have that.
yeah, they do in a sense. They both do add guns, like you said. Fortnite adds guns, COD adds guns, but same with the map changes. Like Warzone's map changes aren't big. They're not like spectacles yet. Hopefully the end of this one, but that's otherwise. They haven't changed majority of the map, whereas in Fortnite, flooded the map last season, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm going for Fortnite.
Okay. That's it. I think
vote
COD
for
actually
Fortnite.
might win this in the actual Game Awards, but there's our vote.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. Fortnite's been along for a long time, and if it's still a contender,
Yeah, man. They have it figured out.
and Blue saying in chat, saying Fortnite has withstood a long test of time. Every Fortnite season is an event. They
Yeah.
always have a big event.
Exactly. Man.
Yeah, I would agree. Like COD seasons, I couldn't tell you the difference between the last like 3 or 4 seasons, other than just the name alone, and maybe like some of the operators that came out. But like Fortnites are so different from one another, or they're different enough where it's exciting when a new season comes out. Whereas with COD, it's like, oh, like another battle pass. Like there's no like there might be like a cutscene, but that's all I can really gather from COD.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I think it's too tough for COD to do that. Lending to, if you think about the setting and the art style, like Warzone can't go really in much direction as Fortnite can. Like, think of Call of Duty Warzone adding like superheroes and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that just doesn't work.
They tried that in Black Ops 4, but the last
It
thing,
did, but
you remember?
that was the last thing they did, and I don't think many people really cared. So
Okay, so our vote officially is Fortnite.
Yeah, it was Fortnite. Yep.
Point out to our vote. So the next category is Best Indie for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the
Ooh.
traditional publisher system. The nominees are, I don't know if it's Carrion or Carrion, but
I think it's Carrion.
the first game, Carrion, thank you. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Hades, Spelunky 2, and Spiritfarer. I think I know which way I'm going,
I
but I'm
think so.
still.
Me too.
So
But I have to kind of look at the top though. But you go first, one. I gotta collect my thoughts here.
I think this one's interesting. I feel like if I played Hades, my vote would be Hades, but my vote's Fall Guys. Simple as that.
That's yeah, same here. I've played Hades. Probably could have changed my mind, but like a personal vote would probably be Fall Guys.
Yep.
I think if I had played Carrion, because it looks really cool and it looks different enough, like outside of the norm of games I normally play. But I will say Fall Guys was such a nice surprise and how like easy it is to pick up and play. And I look forward to playing that game actually more now that we're talking about it. So our official vote.
Supperfist in the chat, calling for Spiritfarer. It made me cry.
Well, yeah, I remember you
Ooh.
talking about that. He was talking about like it's about animals and it's kind of like heavy. Yeah, I feel like again, there's a lot of these games where I feel like if I played more of them, my vote might change. But I think Fall Guys, and there's no bad vote here in any of these games, but I think Fall Guys is, I think it's good. It was a freaking phenomenon when it came out. Like everyone was playing Fall Guys. It was a big deal. It's a brand new spin on the battle royale genre, which is really refreshing. Like you said, Jim, just a nice refreshing game. And it continues to be pretty popular, even though a lot of streamers have kind of stopped playing it. Fall Guys is still played by, I think, millions of people. So, Fall Guys it is. Boom.
Fall Guys gets our vote. So, next category is Best Mobile Game.
I just threw up.
For the best game playable on a mobile device, the nominees are Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, and Pokemon Cafe Mix. Admittedly, I've only played 2 of these, but I know where my vote is already.
I've played 3. I played some Pokemon Cafe Mix. It's a fun game.
Yeah, that's the one I'm not sure about. What is that exactly?
Oh, it's kind of weird. Like you're a Pokemon and you're in a cafe and you make stuff that cafes make for other Pokemon.
Like a cooking game?
kind of. It's you know what it is. It's the best way I can describe it. That's its theme, but it actually is like a. I forget the name for it, but it's one of those ones where you need to like connect a bunch of the same kind of like pieces together to like eliminate to like create combos.
Bejeweled?
To like, yeah, exactly. It's like Bejeweled. That's the actual gameplay. It's Bejeweled, but it's Pokemon themed. It's a fun theme on it because you're using the Bejeweled thing to kind of like mix, and there's like a mix function while you're doing the Bejeweled thing. So you spin the pieces around. You're trying to mix like a coffee, for example. So it's kind of cool.
Mhm.
It's a cute little game. It's not my vote though.
Harley, where are you leaning right now?
I'm leaning between Among Us, probably Among Us, and maybe Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
Really?
Played a little bit of Genshin Impact, not on mobile, mind you, but it's a pretty sweet game. Being that on mobile, like, pretty good. Like, it's like a full-fledged game on mobile.
It's Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Interesting.
but Among Us is just really fun. The thing is like Among Us is like pretty basic in that sense.
I think that's the cool thing about Among Us is that it's such a simple game and a simple concept. But
it's so fun.
Exactly.
Like,
I would say with Genshin, and I guess Among Us is kind of the same way, but to a lesser extent, that the mobile experience for Genshin, I've played a bit on mobile. It's not the same as PC. Well, like it is, but like it's a lot harder to do things unless you have like a Bluetooth controller plugged in, if you know what I mean, or not plugged in, but connected.
Okay.
So
that probably swayed my vote to Among Us then.
yeah, like Genshin's still great on
Played that
mobile.
on
It's the same
mobile.
game on mobile. It's just I feel like it's way better suited on PC. Um,
Yeah.
or maybe like a big tablet. You know, if like you had a big like iPad Pro, it'd probably be pretty sweet on that. But
Okay.
um,
Okay.
yeah, Among
Whereas
Us is one of
Among
those
Us is
game. It's good everywhere, right? Like,
yeah.
so my vote's Among Us.
All right.
My vote was going to be for Among Us too, but I will give a nod to Call of Duty Mobile. I think it plays pretty well for. I'm based it off my phone because it'd be on my phone, but the hour I've played of Call of Duty Mobile, pretty fun, but not as fun as Among Us. So my vote, and I think the podcast vote in general, will be
Yeah.
for Among Us, which
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should be fun to have all
Blue
of
in
us.
the
That
chat
includes you
says
two,
Among Us by
Selfish.
a landslide. I don't think it's by a landslide, Blue. For at least mobile, but I think there's a lot of. I haven't played Legends of Rutan or Call of Duty Mobile by any means, but
Legends of Runeterra is a card game.
oh, okay, gotcha.
It's a League of Legends skin of a card.
Oh,
kinda
made by
like
Riot. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Hearthstone.
Okay. Dom says, or Blue says in chat, +1 points to Tony for not mentioning Infinite. Bro, I've mentioned it like 10 times
You
already.
just said Infinite though right now though.
I've actually talked about Halo Infinite for like 20 minutes
Agree with
already,
that point.
Dom. So
If you want to listen to the last episode, there's a lot of Halo Infinite in that one.
there's a
Wait
lot of
till we
Halo
have
Infinite every episode.
Infinite episode.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait. Okay,
When
moving
that
on.
game comes out,
Oh,
yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
We'll merge into a Halo Infinite podcast. It won't even be like a gaming one anymore. We'll just be an Infinite one.
Hopefully it's that good, man.
I hope so too.
Okay.
With that, let's move on.
Yeah.
The next category, this one's interesting too. Best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates/patches. Nominees are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Valorant. I will say this is significant because I think this is the first category where we have more than 5 nominees.
Yep.
This is the first one we have
Yeah,
6.
yeah. So I don't know why there's more here. I think it's really funny that Call of Duty didn't get on here.
Well,
because like,
I can tell you
Well,
why.
oh man, I think that's hilarious. We know we all know about that game.
Updates.
Yeah, sorry, we sprung an 80 gigabyte update on you, and oh sorry, there's hackers everywhere, and we don't care. And
Sorry.
oh sorry, if you pick up another person's gun, your screen turns into an abomination.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry.
jeez. They don't even
We're sorry.
the worst part is they don't even recognize it for like 2 weeks, and then they say something. Anyways.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about this so far?
So the community
I mean-
support, the social media part of it is interesting. Fall Guys social media is really, really good. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, they like
I think so too.
in the Tap Man. They had like a little fun like Twitter. I don't know, like battle
Yeah.
or like the Fall Guys Twitter would like make fun of Tim not having a win yet in like how many games.
Yep.
That was fun.
It was fun.
I don't know how much of that surrounds like just the community though, and not just like a big time streamer.
Sure. I think it was kind of a fun movement though, either way. That they
It
were
was
like,
very
you know, the
was
fact
really-
that a big streamer hasn't won yet, and they kind of like rallied the community around it, being like, "Ah, look at this
Yeah.
guy, he hasn't won yet," but like in a
it
fun
was
way.
funny.
And everyone was like replying to all their tweets, being like, "Look how many wins I have," and like,
Mhm.
this is great.
It was fun.
It was fun. I'll say that I don't think Destiny 2 wins this one for me. Again, just like I just don't know about the community there. No Man's Sky also doesn't win it for me, and I haven't played Valorant or paid too much attention to Valorant, so that one doesn't win it for me.
I don't know which one I'm leaning. I think I'm leaning more towards Fall Guys right now, to be honest. Not that Fortnite's terrible with their like support and all that,
I
but
was kind of leaning towards Fortnite. They had that whole Apple movement.
Yep. Yeah, that was massive.
Oh,
They
that's true.
they've been supporting a lot of music artists with their in-game concerts.
Yep.
True. Ooh, I think you just swayed my vote a bit, Harley.
Recognizing the game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity.
Game updates and patches too. That's a big one.
Well, Fall Guys, how long did it have issues with server connectivity once it started to like blow up a little more?
Oh, I don't know.
A long time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
First
fault the
tackle.
developer for that though. Like, man, they
No.
were not expecting that. Like, they had to like 10x their organization, more than that, probably like 1,000x their organization size, like overnight. So I don't blame them for that. It sucked, but I don't blame them for that. I'm gonna say my vote's Fall Guys, but if you guys both want to vote Fortnite, that's cool. I like that.
Oh, I don't know.
Fall
I
Guys
think I'd
Twitter
go
is
for
Wendy's in disguise, Carlin. Yeah, it is. Wendy's Twitter is amazing too.
So I think that's Blue who's Dom in the chat, but he says, I love Valorant, but it's kind of toxic. LOL. Ironic. It's in this. Apex or Fortnite wins this one again, to be honest.
Yeah,
Valorant's
toxic.
I don't pay enough attention to Apex to really know too much about
Well, remember, this is
the
so community support with the community itself.
Yeah.
I would agree though. Valorant in kind of games in that style, or like Rainbow Six Siege too, you got some toxic community members.
I think I know where my vote is. Harley, you know your vote?
Fortnite.
I think. Ooh, I'm the deciding vote here. Oh. Oh God, it's such a tough decision. But I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna vote for Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout.
Well,
Okay.
For pretty much everything that Tony said. So our vote, Fall Guys. So the next category is Best VR/AR for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. So the nominees are Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. If I had VR, I would immediately vote for Star Wars, just based on videos I've seen and based on, Squadrons is a fun game. I think that would be my vote, but I don't know. I think kind of based on what we were saying earlier, I think I might have to my vote's swaying more towards Half-Life Alyx again, just because it's so, I don't know, it's where VR should be. Not that Star Wars does it wrong, or any of the other games really. I mean, they all got nominated for a reason, right? So I don't know. I really haven't seen enough of to go on what Blue's saying in the chat. But Iron Man's VR is cool too, from what I've seen on the YouTubes. I haven't watched enough. To be fair, I don't even know what Dreams is, to be honest. But I'm gonna say my vote's for Half-Life Alyx.
same.
Okay, so we're voting Half-Life Alyx. Jim, that's funny. I actually would have voted for Star Wars Squadrons, but
Really?
yeah.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of what I was going back to earlier with, like, just because I said Half-Life Alyx won whatever category that was above. I think it was game design and innovation. I don't think that means it's necessarily the best VR game. I think that the fact that Star Wars Squadrons is like the coolest. We're voting. Alex is the vote because you guys put him in. That's fine.
Wait.
No, we're not changing it. We're not changing it. No.
Sway us.
I was gonna change my mind. I think
Okay.
I think I'm starting to change my mind.
Okay, so what I'm saying here is that, like, yeah, Alex is kind of game changing for VR, and that's fine. But like when you think about just an experience, like, I think all of us watching Star Wars growing up always wanted to, be in, a TIE fighter or or an X-wing or a Y-wing or whatever, right? Like, it's such a cool experience, and the fact that Squadrons enables that, and it enables it into, like, not even just like a gimmick, like, it's a full experience. Like, to me, that I would vote for that reason, and that's kind of my Star Wars fanboy kind of coming out. But
You'd be surprised my Star Wars fanboy didn't come crawling out for this one.
I was really surprised you didn't vote for Squadrons there, because that's my vote. Like,
you know what?
A good point when we were talking about it earlier about how its VR is kind of so innovative. I would have thought
it is 100%. It is, but I like, from a personal standpoint, like, out of all these games, I would want to play Squadrons in VR first. If I got a VR rig tomorrow and I could play one of these games right now, it'd be Star Wars Squadrons.
You know what? Based on that criteria, I would play Star Wars Squadrons in a heartbeat over any of these other games. Really.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, this is our vote. We're not saying that Squadrons is better than Half-Life Alyx. We're just saying that's our
No.
vote for best VR game.
I mean,
Like,
it
yeah.
probably isn't a better game than Half-Life,
No,
really.
I don't think
to
it
look at
probably
everything.
is, but
But I think my vote has changed. Star Wars Squadrons. Just joking. It's Watch Dead. No, it's Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh, Elite Dangerous has been awesome VR.
does it not have VR? I thought it did.
I think it does, but I don't have a rig.
Worth noting here that there's another 2 Sony games here, Dreams and Marvel's Iron Man VR. Both of those are Sony. So, again, high quality Sony games. Theme. Scroll down. Here we go.
All right, so Star Wars Squadrons was our winner for that category. Thanks to Tony for awakening. You would think like the biggest Star Wars fan of the three of us.
I didn't think
would
I'd have
vote
to
Star Wars.
convince you, man. I thought that was the easiest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm out of my element, maybe. Anyway, now I'll play Star Wars Squadrons. Regardless, let's move on. Next category is innovation in accessibility, recognizing software and/or hardware that is pushing the medium forward, by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. Interesting category. The nominees are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, Last of Us Part 2, and Watch Dogs Legion.
So I'll say this. I don't know about any of the other accessibility features in Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, or Watch Dogs, but I have seen some for Last of Us Part 2 because it was making waves when it was kind of talked about at the start. They do a lot of cool things for people that that need these accessibility functions. It's hard to describe, but like pretty much like there are ways where they can change the visuals of the game so that like, and it's not just like a colorblind mode. Like it's a full on like retexturing and like enemy manipulation so you can actually see where they are. Like it makes it like really, like just watching it, it's really really cool what they do to make it accessible. So my vote's Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, I don't know other games.
So yeah, simply because I don't know what the other games are doing, but I also know that the innovation for Last of Us Part 2 was really freaking cool. So
Last of Us.
And that shit's important, you know? That's
That
important.
was quick.
So good stuff.
So our official vote is Last of Us Part 2. Oh,
Well, here we go.
So the next category, I already know my vote, unfortunately, but the next category is Best Action for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. The nominees are Doom Eternal, Doom Eternal, Doom Eternal, Doom Eternal, and Doom Eternal.
Our vote?
No, joking.
Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal. Nominees are Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, is it Neo 2?
Yep,
That's how you
Neo.
pronounce it?
Yep.
And Streets of Rage 4. I'm not even going to describe my feelings. I think it should be obvious. Based on, you guys know me. I've talked enough about Doom Eternal enough as it is on this podcast with the other categories. But the one thing I think this game shines in above a lot of other shooters of its kind, and I guess shooters in general, is the combat. It's so satisfying shooting things in this game, which sounds really wrong to say, but the combat is so satisfying. Your player movement is so satisfying. Just everything feels pitch perfect for what it was setting out to do. So my vote right away is going to go to Doom Eternal.
I wish I played Hades because that might have changed my mind. I've seen some Streets of Rage 4, and that's cool. But if you've played a Streets of Rage game before, then it's kind of the same thing. My vote's also Doom.
Mine too.
Doom.
There you go. Our vote for Best Action, Doom Eternal.
All right.
The next category, ooh, interesting. Another sixer is, I know my Best Action Adventure. For the Best Action/Adventure game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. The nominees are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, or Last of Us Part 2. Interesting that Assassin's Creed's on here and it just came out.
Yeah, it just made the cut, and it's funny because Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came out around the same time last year, but it didn't make the cut, so that's why it's here, even though that game came out in 2019.
That's right, too.
Yeah, it just missed the cut, and Cyberpunk's going to be in the same situation. It's going to come out this year, and it's not going to be in this year's awards. So
if I'm gonna make a prediction early, I think that's gonna sweep the awards next year. But regardless,
Maybe Halo Infinite
uh,
will.
oh, if it comes out. Anyway, we have Infinite Watch for that reason to update people. But Harley, out of all these games, which way are you leaning right now?
I'm leaning between Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Ghost of Tsushima.
Interesting.
Well, best action / adventure. When I think of adventure, I really think of like Assassin's Creed and how it's just an open world. I mean, I guess the same could be said for Spider-Man, but I don't really know much about it yet. I don't really know much on like the open worldness of Jedi Fallen Order. I know that like Assassin's Creed, you know, just open world. You just, run around taking over villages, plundering. It just looks so much fun. As I said before, for Ghost, it's kind of plays like Assassin's Creed, just in the setting, feudal Japan. So I'm kind of leaning between the two.
Tony, where are you going?
My vote's Star Wars.
And my vote's also Star Wars. I was really impressed and surprised with the quality that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order had. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was, really, because I knew it was in the similar vein of like Dark Souls with its combat style. But I was really surprised with the puzzle solving element of it too, because there are puzzles in the game too. And like you were saying, Harley, you weren't sure about how open Jedi Fallen Order is. It's open, but it's not open in the same way like Assassin's Creed would be. Like it's open world. Like you travel to different planets, and there's large areas for you to run around in, but you can't like explore the whole planet. You know what I mean? It's not like an open. It's not like No Man's Sky, I guess, in that sense. But
It's like set destinations.
yeah, but the destinations are very wide and open, and there's lots to explore and lots of secrets to find and all that. So,
Unfortunately, I don't know much about. I've been wanting to play it, so I haven't really watched any videos on it. I've been waiting it for it to come on Game Pass, or when EA Access was gonna come through, I should
and
say.
now it's on there. So there you go.
Yes, now I can play it. So
I recommend that game to anybody watching, anybody not watching, anybody who haven't played it yet. And I'm probably gonna replay it, to be honest, because I want to beat it on Grandmaster Jet, whatever the hardest difficulty is. But anyway, so I think our vote's in for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep.
If I'm correct.
I think
Our
this
official
game's
vote.
unfortunately going to get snubbed during the actual awards, just because it came out so long ago. It's not fresh in people's minds. It has that going against it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
the game's fantastic. Agreed.
Okay, so let's move on to the next category: Best Role Playing. For best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Nominees are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Didn't Persona 5 come out like 2 years ago?
The PS4 version came out this year, I believe, which is what that Persona 5 Royal is, because Renee plays Persona 5 on the PS3.
So what's the
So it's
difference between a
technically,
Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal?
I couldn't tell you the difference. I don't know
Is it the same
enough
thing
about
like
it.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake, where it's just like, re-released?
It's possible. I might look it up. But which way are you guys leaning right now? Have you guys played any of these games? I know Tony's played Genshin Impact, and I think Harley, you said you had two, right?
I played Genshin, and I played Wasteland 2, so I kind of know about Wasteland 3.
Okay.
Um, yeah, this one's tough for me. There's a lot of games on this list I really want to play. I really want to play all of them. But I have played Genshin. I think that Genshin's interesting in that it's kind of like a role playing game, but I don't feel like I'm playing the role of that character. I feel like I'm just playing with a group of characters, if you know what I mean.
Well, Wasteland 3 is also you're in a group of characters.
Yeah.
I think Wasteland 3, it says character customization and progression. And I'm pretty sure in Genshin, um, you don't even have to use the character that you customize, like in your roster of like your team. You don't necessarily have to bring them all the time. So, and there's not that much customization towards it either.
Yeah.
Or as in like Wasteland 3, it's like a blank slate that you could do whatever you with. Oh.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I almost don't feel comfortable voting, but I'll let you guys vote.
Probably go with the Wasteland 3. Well, I don't know, massively multiplayer experience. I don't think Wasteland 3
Well, it's
is
including.
really...
It says including. It doesn't mean it has to be. So like an MMO could be in here, for example.
But that's where Genshin Impact kind of leans.
Yeah.
Kind of leans to an MMO.
It leans to an MMO.
I don't
Yeah.
think Wasteland 3 is really multiplayer at all. I don't think. It's more single player, but...
Okay, so Renee in chat says Persona 5 Royal, I think, has a similar story, but adds extra characters and features. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. So that's interesting that it's on here then. That it got nominated.
To piggyback on that comment, though, I looked it up, and it says Persona 5, and this is a quote from Mashable.com. It says Persona 5 Royal is essentially the same game with a few tweaks and additions. The biggest change is the inclusion of several new characters. There are more activities, new areas, revamped battles, expanded dungeons, and a couple of new mechanics. So it sounds like they retweaked the game significantly enough where they could, I guess, garner a re-release anyway.
Weird.
But I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Tony. I don't think I can vote on this one, really. Persona 5 is the only game I know on here, really gameplay-wise, that I've seen a lot of, just because Renee's played it, but the other ones, I don't really know enough about any of them in reality.
The only one I've played is Genshin, so I mean, if I had to vote, it's Genshin.
I would probably go Wasteland 3. Be good with skipping as well. I don't really know.
I can't vote. I really don't know enough about most of these games.
We can't tie break.
I can't vote. I guess we gotta skip it then.
Okay.
All right.
So
you guys can.
I'll say this. Let's do some rapid fire ones coming up.
Yeah.
So fighting game's a great one for rapid fire. Let's just rapid fire it.
All right. Best fighting game for the best game design primarily around head-to-head combat. Nominees are Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, One Man Punch, A Hero Nobody Knows, Under Night in Birth EXE Late CLR.
Oh my god, that name.
I almost want to vote.
I'm voting for that. I'm voting for that game.
I'm voting for that one too. That's our vote.
That's the vote. Rapid fire.
The name is
best name. It had the best name. Family game.
Best family for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. Nominees are Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Fall Guys: Ultimate Knockout, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario: The Origami King. Where do you guys want to vote? Best family.
Yeah.
Going toward Animal Crossing or...
Okay. Let's say you had kids. Which game would you want to play with your kids?
Mario Kart Live, 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm in that boat too. Out of all of these, it's just the coolest one.
That's the coolest thing. Like I want it, and if I was a kid, I would absolutely want that. Next.
I guess it's our vote.
Yep.
Next category is best sim/strategy. This is more your guys' realm because I haven't really played any of these. Best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. Nominees are Crusader Kings 3, which I actually did want to try, Desperados 3, Gears Tactics, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and XCOM Chimera Squad.
Quick note here, two Xbox Game Studios games here. So we've been talking a lot about Sony, but there's some Xbox games, so cool.
Pretty happy about that.
I think that Microsoft Flight Simulator probably shouldn't have been in the Game of the Year nomination, to be honest. That's my vote.
Harley, what about you?
I'd go with Gears Tactics.
I think just based on which one I'd want to play more right now, currently, I think I'm going to put my vote in for Gears Tactics.
Sure. So
vote Gears Tactics. Next category. Oh, I don't know any of these. I haven't played any of these.
That's okay.
Best sports / racing for the best traditional and non-traditional sports and racing games. Nominees are Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, NBA 2K21, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. What are you guys feeling?
Tony Hawk's.
Tony Hawk.
And it's the only one I really want to play. So Tony Hawk's. Congratulations. Best multiplayer. Ooh, oh boy. For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform, nominees are Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and Valorant.
We don't have to do rapid fire on this one. I feel like we could talk about this one for a bit.
Oh boy.
You know where my vote is. Call of Duty Warzone.
I'm with you, Harley.
I think I'm with you too.
I love Among Us and I love Fall Guys. But Among Us, you need to bring in the friends to really enjoy an experience.
Yep.
And Fall Guys is just like
I think
it's more casual fun. It's casual fun. If
Yeah.
you want to get serious, if you want to get sweaty, you play Warzone.
The sweaty vote of Warzone.
My mouse is sweating scrolling through this. Okay, this is all your guys' category because I don't know any of this stuff. But content creator of the year for a streamer or content creator who has made an important and positive impact on the community in 2020. Nominees are Alana Pierce, J.N. Lopez, Nick Marks, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, whatever. Okay, you guys talk. I can't vote on this one.
This is so tough because I feel like they kind of deserve it in tandem, Harley. You know what I mean? Like they should really be the same person because they stream every day together.
No.
They should really tag team this award.
Man, yeah, that's tough.
It's tough, man.
An important and positive impact.
I'll say that Alana Pierce does pretty much all of her streams and they're all for charity. Like she doesn't make a buck off of anything she does, so that's really cool. But yeah, to me it has to be Nick Merckx or Tim the Tatman.
I know Valkyrie as well, but yeah, Tim the Tatman or Nick Merckx. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's super tough. I think it's Nick Merckx, to be honest.
Yeah, he does host a lot of tournaments and such.
Yeah, he gives back to his community all the time. So
I'd be happy saying Nick Merckx.
Okay. I do think that it should be Nick Merckx plus Tim the Tatman though. Like they should be one person because those two are hilarious. But
man.
Okay, Nick Merckx it is then. And
right. I would vote Figure 9.
Oh well, yeah. Considering I've streamed a grand total of like 20 hours this year, that's a poor decision. But thank you, Bunny. Best debut game. Here we go.
Next category is Best Debut Game. For the best debut game created by a new independent studio, nominees are Carrion, Mortal Shell, Raji, and Ancient Epic, Rocky, I think it's Rocky, whatever, and Phasmophobia.
Rapid fire.
I can't vote.
Harley?
I only know Phasmophobia.
That's what I'm voting.
Phasmophobia it is.
Oh God, I have no idea.
Okay.
I only know Grim 6.
Okay, so best esports athlete. The esports athlete judged to be the most outstanding for performance and conduct in 2020, irrespective of game. Nominees are, I'm just going to do their names: Crimzik, Showmaker, Canyon, Shotzi, and Zwu.
Oh, you know what? I remember Shotzi. Shotzi was a god at Halo 5 for a bit. But he's nominated for Call of Duty. Harley, you pick the winner.
I would have went for Crimson.
Crimson.
That's what it is.
That's the one.
Crimson, that's my vote. I changed my mind. I'm going to vote for that one.
Oh, I know. Oh, no.
I actually have no idea on this one.
I don't know any of them.
Skip?
I'm going to vote.
Skip.
I'm going to vote Rambo just because I like the Rambo. No, I'm going to vote Krusty.
Oh, yeah, Krusty for sure.
You like the name Krusty?
Dahi Krusty Park, man. Hell yeah. Let's go.
All right.
I probably
Krusty
butchered his name, sorry, but I like the name Krusty.
Okay, next one. Rapid fire. Best esports event. Recognizing an event across single or multiple days that delivered a best of class experience for participants and the broadcast audience. Nominees are Blast Premier Call of Duty League Championship 2020, IEM Katowice 2020, League of Legends World Championship 2020, Overwatch League Grand Finals 2020. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I like Call of Duty, so I guess I'll vote that.
Or League of Legends.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty gets our vote. Best esports game for the game that has delivered the best overall esports experience to players, inclusive of tournaments, community support, and content updates, irrespective of genre or platform. Nominees are Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Fortnite, League of Legends, or Valorant. What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't really watch too much esports, so.
The Call of Duty one's interesting because they actually didn't say Warzone. They said Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, because Call of Duty League is in a Modern Warfare. It's like multiplayer, not Warzone.
So I think actually Warzone tournaments are way more interesting than regular Call of Duty, but so not Call of Duty for me.
No.
Not Counter-Strike for me.
I almost want to go League of Legends. It's the only one I really know esport wise. Blue saying Valorant has potential. Riot Games does a lot of esport tournament, like big tournaments and such. I'd go with either League or Valorant.
I think I'd go with League too.
Then we'll go with League.
You're right though, Blue. I think Valorant has big potential, but it's not quite there.
It's not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Esports host.
Which one do you guys want to vote for? I don't know.
Well, we got
anybody though.
I'm voting for Golden Boy.
Yep, me too.
Golden Boy.
Sounds like close enough to GoldenEye.
He does a lot of the Halo tournaments, and like Gears of War tournaments and stuff, and I've watched those, and he's a really good commentator for real. He's good. So.
Again, I don't.
Is this the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. So.
This is the last one.
Yep.
Okay, well, best esports team. Recognizing a specific esports team, not the full organization. Granted, judged the most outstanding for performance and conduct in 2020. Nominees are Dewan Gaming, Dallas Empire, G2 Esports, G Fuel Esports, San Francisco Shock, or Team Secret. I don't know any of these. I feel like
I don't want to skip.
Are we going to be that show that skips?
Yeah, we're skipping. We're skipping.
All right. Well, that's Zach.
Are we ending with a skip?
Well, we wouldn't be this show if we didn't. Yeah, disappoint the people. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. As Dom says, the hell is this?
This is the best podcast on YouTube, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
So that concludes our voting. That
was so anticlimactic. The last one was just best esports team. Oh, let's skip. That's okay.
Okay, we are at 97 minutes. Do we want to do a quick question, or should we just end the show here?
Honestly, this has been a big episode, so I think we can. I think we can end it here and then get back to the question next week.
Absolutely, I think I agree. So for all you there watching, we want to know what you think. Make sure you leave your comments in the comment section, not just in the chat, but in the comment section, so that we can read your responses to the next show. What was your game of the year? What was your best action game? You can go through the categories. You can tell us what you think. That's perfect. We don't have a question this week, so we don't really need to respond to a question. If you want to stay up to date with Follow My Tracers, subscribe to us right here on YouTube. Click the bell if you do want to be notified when we go live. You can also follow us on Twitter at FMT Show and on Facebook at Follow My Tracers. Tony, do you have any of your social medias you want to plug?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Figure9TV, Xbox Live also Figure9TV, YouTube Figure9, and Twitch Figure9. I will be streaming. I'm going to try to stream next week. Like I said, I've been really busy with work, so I haven't been able to, but I'm going to try to get back on streaming next week. So follow me there.
Beautiful. Harley, anything you want to plug?
I'm good.
If you guys want to follow me on Xbox, other than that, the links to all these things that mentioned are in the episode. Until next time, we are Follow My Tracers, and have a good one. Thank you for listening.
Bye.